Today we're going to cover one of Australia's larger retailers, Kmart, and we're going to audit their website and sort of understand where they could possibly move in the future for their SEO. And it's going to be a series where we go through some of the bigger companies and work out what they're doing for SEO, what their performance of the website is, what their possible conversion rate is, and where we think that they could improve their user experience on site, and as well as improving their organic stuff off site. So I'll jump right in. We'll be doing one of these videos every week. If you have a suggestion of a website that you want us to audit, it doesn't necessarily need to be a big player in an industry, but we will cover e-commerce, offline, brick and mortar, different types of business models and how they're doing their websites, and how you too could possibly take some of this advice and move it into your own. So leave a comment below, like, subscribe. If you like the content, we'll be doing one of these each week. So I'll jump in. I've got a little checklist of things that we're going to cover and sort of stuff that I want to start to see these sort of businesses doing, especially being a larger business. I think that they should be doing certain things that the smaller businesses might not be able to do, and we'll dive in and you can understand how we will do an audit and how you too could audit your own website. So to start off, we're going to look at their performance. So performance is such a big indicator to how a website is engaged with, interacted with, how Google sees it, how Bing sees it, how other sort of social media platforms see the website, because everything comes down to performance. Knowing that their traffic is most likely 60 to 70% mobile, we really want to make sure that they're mobile optimized as well. So we'll take a look at their performance and what they could possibly do to improve the performance. So I'll jump into GT metrics. We ran their domain not too long ago, and we're running it from Sydney, Australia. That's where their target demographic is, being an Australian website, and what they could possibly do. So first of all, they're dynamically scaling their images. That's something that you really don't want to see. So what that means is they're loading an image of this size, and they're loading it significantly smaller. So you can see that the scale down is quite significant. It's actually going to tell us here 75% reduced. So it's being scaled from 141080 800 to 700 pixels wide. So that's something that needs to be considered on all websites. If you're compressing images via code, and by that I'm saying that they're forcing this image to be at this scale, you may as well load the image at the correct resolution. You're saving on bandwidth, you're saving on the user's end and your end. So make sure that you do that. Now they do have two variations of that image. They do have a 768 pixel image and a higher resolution image as well. But what's actually been downloaded on my side is the larger version. So they need to really work on making sure that they're not scaling via code. Leverage browser caching isn't something that's really that big of a concern. They are doing a 1-day cache, which is fine. For an e-commerce store, you're typically same-day purchases. If you are coming back, loading those resources again is normally okay. For a store like Amazon, for example, they'd possibly have a larger caching time. They seem to be optimizing their images, which is really good. That's one of the bigger players in optimization and performance to make sure that they are doing it. But a 4.6-second load time isn't too great, and a 1.52 megabyte website is pretty large, especially if you're loading that on a mobile. It is quite a large website. So looking at the other sort of stuff, that they are loading a lot of resources from different domains. So you want to make sure that you're not looking for too many domains. So typically 3 to 5 is okay. You've always got one being your own site. You've normally got a CDN, which is highly advised, and then you've normally got Google Analytics or Tag Manager. So they're nearly always required. Once you go into things like Facebook pixels, you go into optimization of conversions, you do go into other scripts, and it doesn't look like there's too many there that they're wasting resources on. They do seem to be things that are required. Make sure you go through and do an audit of those to make sure that they're actually being used. So they're not doing too bad on the performance side of things, but they are sort of a little slow. So their first byte is very bad. So that could indicate that they're hosting offshore, they're hosting in America, or they're using an unoptimized server. They're trying to do things in-house and hosting it from a physical location opposed to a server room. Uh, that's a really bad first byte. You really want that to be under 200 milliseconds, so it's nearly double what the recommended is. And ideally in Australia, under 100 is definitely achievable. 50 to 100 is definitely achievable, especially with our Sydney-based servers. And I'm testing from Sydney; they should really be lower than that. Their first contentful paint really needs to get under that 1 second mark, and really should be at about zero point 0.8 of a second. So their loading could definitely be improved, and decreasing that first byte could definitely do that for them, or caching individual files, or serving a cached version of the web page that may or may not be dynamically generated on each refresh. From what I saw, there wasn't anything that's needing to be dynamically generated every time a page is loaded. They could possibly cache that page for a day or so. So they definitely need to work on their performance, and not all that much though. Like compared to some of the others, they're not doing too bad on the performance side. We'll look at the Google's alternative tool to GTmetrix. So this is the official Google tool, and what their suggestions are. So looking at a mobile where GTmetrix only looks at desktop, their first contentful paint is 5 seconds on a mobile. That's horrific. If you're on a mobile and you've clicked on a link, or gone to Google and clicked on a link, and you're loading for 5 seconds, you're gone. You're out of there. You're not waiting. You'll go to the next one. So their bounce rate, I'd say, is fairly high, and their performance is really poor on mobile. So first interactive is horrendous again. You really need this to be under like 5 seconds, and this to be under 2 seconds on a mobile. That's pretty standard. That's definitely achievable for their website. And their first meaningful paint being really poor as well. They've got render blocking, which is a massive one. That's normally JavaScript or CSS being pushed as a priority opposed to being uh, deferred. So typically, if you look at their code and .javascript, you look for their JavaScript files and look if they've gotten async or defer visible in their code. So it doesn't look like they're utilizing those technologies and how browsers engage with the JavaScript. So right here, we're effectively saying load these scripts alongside the loading of the web page. By deferring these or using an async method, you can load them after the website has finished loading. For things like analytics, live chats, um, whatever else they're using, most of the time you can load them after the web page. Things like Bootstrap and jQuery typically need to be loaded immediately. That's fine, but they are seem they they do seem to be loading scripts that don't need to be loaded at this point. And loading JavaScript in the header is typically a poor idea as well, unless it's required. Uh, they do have JavaScript down in the footer as well, which is where it should really be for a lot of scripts. No, they're not loading JavaScript. So they're all loading it in the header, with the odd exception to a couple of files. They really need to have their developer look over these and work out what they could possibly do to improve the performance. And once again, they're loading multiple scripts where they could just be loading one. So this script tag here is the same as this script tag here and this script tag here, with the exceptions to this, which is a JSON file. This could be moved up higher into the header. It's loaded after the web page loads anyway, and these could all be combined into the one execution. So you can create one tag and add all this JavaScript within that one tag, and it do the same thing, but without the multiple requests. You can actually gain a lot of performance with that, and you can see that they're sort of everywhere. There's two here right next to each other that could really be, I could make the performance improvement by just removing these and letting it run. It'll do the exact same thing. These could possibly be deferred, and the only difference is you would have deferred, asynced, and loaded on page. So you could possibly have three of these, depending on the web page, but they seem to not be doing a very good job of handling their JavaScript in this instance. And that can cause huge render blocking, because render blocking is where the rendering of the page is delayed to wait for these following scripts. And you can see some of these are CSS, which is fine. Typically CSS is something that you really needed to load, but they've got a lot of JavaScript that, like, these don't need to be loaded upon website load. So by removing those, they could save themselves potentially 3.8 seconds, and deferring off page scripts, which is lazy loading. So if I load the page here, this is above the fold. I only need to load content that is right here. Anything below here, so all these images here, can be loaded after my initial loading. So as I start to scroll, it will detect that I'm loading, and it will start to load these images, and pretty much instantaneously in our generation where internet's very quick, these will load instantaneously. I won't even notice, but I'm loading them upon loading the initial page, which isn't required. So deferring those and making sure that they're loaded after is definitely something that they could do. Doesn't look like they're completely utilizing the next generation format of WebP. That's a Google initiative. That's something that if you're not currently using, to use. And their DOM elements seem to be quite excessive as well. 7,000 is way over the recommended, which means they've got a lot of empty tags. They've got a lot of HTML that doesn't need to be there. Look at how much I'm loading to load such a simple page. That should really be under 2,000. I do understand they've got quite large menus, and these menus do take up quite a lot, especially when you do start to jump into subcategories. I completely understand that. However, that can definitely be improved, regardless of anything else. You could Ajax these so the HTML is generated as you click it. It'll happen the exact same way. However, you're not having to load those DOM elements to cause page delay. However, these are typically browsers typically load DOM elements pretty quickly. It's not a huge improvement, but something to definitely consider. Not wasting HTML elements and having your developer make a better effort in coding properly, opposed to creating more and more DOM elements that could possibly be done without using CSS. So similar feedback on their desktop version. I won't jump into that because we covered it in GT metrics, and it's a lot of the same stuff that's covered within their mobile. Once you fix the mobile, you're typically fixing the desktop at the same time. But the delays are pretty significant. So they could definitely improve both their SEO and their performance from a user's perspective, which will lower their bounce rate and improve conversion rate by simply focusing on their performance. And installing things like Cloudflare could definitely improve their performance, or using new server technology that they seem to not be using. In terms of their technology, though, and what they are using a few different analytical tools, Optimizely, so they're clearly focusing on conversion rate optimization. So what this tool will do is allow you to A/B test a set audience to one thing and a set audience to another. So I could be experiencing a completely different user experience than someone else that has loaded the site at the exact same time as me. So they're running active tests, which is really good to see in an e-commerce store. Improving conversion rate is, a huge impactor to better revenue and less marketing budget. But they don't seem to be utilizing too much more, that could should be impacting their SEO. They're using a few tools that I'm unfamiliar with, but jQuery and things like that are very common and will be seen on pretty much every site nowadays. Facebook Pixels, Google Analytics, and Google Tag Manager. Um, they should be really loading a lot of these scripts within Google Tag Manager for them to be utilizing that software, which is a very powerful software, but yet be loading JavaScript on page instead of creating a call and a trigger within Google Tag Manager. So I'm not sure what the use of Tag Manager is in this instance, but they should really look into properly integrating Google Tag Manager, especially for their performance. Um, I did take a look at a few other things, such as running ImageKit to see if they were using WebP. So just on a website image point of view, they could be saving significant amounts of bandwidth and load time by just using new technologies such as WebP. And that's not to mention they're loading off-page images immediately as well. So they could definitely integrate something like ImageKit. It's not really a corporate type software, but there is multiple options for creating image WebP formats and detecting whether a browser is capable of running those formats and running them if it is. So performance-wise, they could really be doing a better job. That'd be my first hitter for performance, to make sure that they tackle that first. In terms of their titles and descriptions and how they're being appeared in Google, it, that's not pretty. That's not Kmart. That's lucky. They get away on that mark. So their titles and descriptions, their homepage is typically, on most websites, always good. I'm very rare to come across a website where the homepage isn't optimized. So I'm not going to look at their homepage, but it looks like that they're running pages that aren't using proper 404 redirects. So they've got a dead page that no longer exists. However, it's not sending a 404 page not found header. If it sends the correct header, and you can do that by searching online, and it will tell you the HTTP request headers that is being sent on each file. It really needs to be sending a 404. Unless this was created days ago, it'll be sending a 201. 200. So 200 or a 201 is a website found. That means that their 404 error page isn't sending a 404 header. If you're not sending a 404 header, Google's going to attempt to continue indexing that page, creating thin content. Because a 404 page doesn't contain useful information, you're creating thin content. So Google's going to continue indexing that page, and all their 404 pages in the future will continue to serve that exact page, creating duplicate content issues. So making sure that they fix that 404 would be very important. In terms of their products, that doesn't seem to be a very well optimized title. I wouldn't be encouraged to click on that URL. I'd be more encouraged to click on something with a more completed URL. They are getting lucky with their 3-paragraph descriptions. Google will typically give you 2. When Google thinks it's a good fit, they'll add that 3rd, but it's typically a dynamic title or description. They won't do that if it's your predefined description and the one you entered. They'll dynamically create this using the content on page. So you can see For Christmas, which is that header we saw on their page right here. So they're dynamically creating that title and description. So their product descriptions and titles, though, are fairly weak. They really need to be expanding out to the maximum distance, and they're not using breadcrumbs. This is a dynamic breadcrumb. Google typically do that based on the / is found in the URL, and they'll use lowercase when it's dynamic and capitals when it's predefined. So if I click on this, it's just using, and whoever's done the SEO is just using the title of the product. Google has pre-done the description, but if I look at their title in their code and their description, Google didn't like their description so much it decided to write its own, and they're not really utilizing that title. So writing something very useful such as 1 kilo dumbbell and then putting in brackets only $4, close brackets, can increase that CTR, so your click-through rate, significantly, which will improve your rankings significantly, including keywords such as, what color it is. It's a blue or an aqua type color. They could include that within the title. You could also including information like how many reviews it has in the title is something that can easily be achieved, but that they're not taking advantage of that. Now, fortunately, they do utilize schema. Schema is very important for especially e-commerce businesses to use schema to identify to Google, hey, this is a product we're using, this is a product that, and this is the information about that product. So schema effectively formats the data in such a way that it's easy to understand without Google guessing, oh, this is the title, this is the price, it has this many reviews. You're writing it in a format in which Google understands without having to guess. So they're using the breadcrumbs schema, which is incorrect. They're not doing this correctly. Breadcrumbs should be, okay, we're in a product category and this is the product name. So they've actually got incorrectly formatted breadcrumbs there, and two products in here for some reason. Hopefully they're different. Nope, they're the same product. So they've got duplicate schema markup, and you can find that out by going and typing schema. So they're using breadcrumbs here, which is very incorrect, especially to have it as a back button. And then they've got schema there as the product. So that they've actually got two different types. They've got the JSON version, which is the preferred Google method, and they've got micro formatting data as well. So that's something that they really need to fix, because they're sending conflicting information that really doesn't need to be there. So they're also missing information. So the availability is something that you can actually get to appear in Google, and something that they really care about. So having availability on a product, whether it's available or not available, can help improve the CTR once again. And the valid until is typically just an infinite date many years in the future that won't impact and will be adjusted later in the future anyway. And the aggregate rating. So we know that this has 3 ratings at 4.7 stars. That would typically be something that you would include and allow Google to use that data. Now the brand, I understand on bigger manufacturers, they may not have brands or want to display that brand, because then I could go ahead and search for that brand and find it cheaper elsewhere. But if it's an internal brand, or it's a brand that's marketable, I'd definitely include it. But I do understand where they may or may not want to include it. That's completely fine. And once again, their reviews, they're not really filling out that review data. Google's sort of taking a stab in the dark here and saying, because we did see review data there, they're sort of guessing at the fact that the reviews are there, and they're taking that information. But in terms of their SEO, it's actually really poor. They really need to make a big effort in making sure that they're including structured data and better titles and descriptions. They could increase their click-through rates and their rankings significantly in a matter of days. They could probably double, if not triple, their organic traffic in days just by doing their products. Now they have 33,600 indexed pages, and that's typically not accurate either. You can typically just keep clicking the last result and it'll keep updating, and eventually you'll get to the end and it'll be significantly less. There is an update you can do within the title or the URL that will give you an instant answer, but you can see that they've only got 31 pages. Still says the same amount, but you can see that they do have some good titles, but it does seem to be still just the product. That's something that they need to work on. Now, in terms of their color palette and how it sort of passes off for me, it seems to be really well. So their brand is obviously red and blue. Now, red's an impulsive color. Blue is definitely along the friendly side of things when you look at it from a psychological point of view. You want to keep it very clean and professional, especially for this sort of e-commerce store, and you want to keep it within your brand guidelines. So I do like the fact that they've gone for the lighter blue opposed to the aggressive red through their site, and they're using a white background with a clean navigation. That's really important. They are using this aggressive orange though, which doesn't seem to fit within their design or their palette whatsoever. I would have been more inclined to go with the the red here, if not the blue, even though it would have blended with the arrow. Orange is very impulsive as well. Orange is great for driving sales and presenting impulsive buying action, but in this instance, it doesn't seem to fit within their palette and seems a little off. However, I do like the darker version to highlight the lighter version and the call to action, such as the sign up to the mail. And I do like the fact that when you navigate through the website, you do keep that consistency of the color palette throughout the site, and it is quite nice throughout the links and the different elements that are on the site. And in terms of the UI and the UX, so the user experience and the way that the user would engage with the site, it's not too bad. There's things that I'd make changes for, especially things like it is Christmas time. We really want to make sure that whatever we're ordering for Christmas is at our doorstep before Christmas. Nothing's worse than getting to your family dinner, ready to hand out presents, and you have nothing because it didn't arrive, or having to dash out and buy something. So they should really be highlighting the fact that you need to order before this day to make sure that your item's here. That's a really important information at this time of year. It should really be highlighted. Now, shopping for postcode 2000, that's not my postcode. It doesn't even seem like they made an attempt to guess my postcode. It should really be used like 455 455 455 They're all my postcodes. This is a little off-putting for a user because if I'm not aware that Kmart is a national brand and have stores worldwide or Australia-wide, I'm now thinking that they're not in my area. I'm more inclined to leave and look for a more localized area or a store within my area. By them guessing where my location is, even though it may be wrong because it's really hard in Australia, at least they're making a stab in the dark. If they get it accurate, and 9 times out of 10 it could be accurate, at least I feel like it's localized to me. It's being targeted towards me. Having it just as their generic 2000 postcode takes away from that, in my opinion. So I feel like that should really be included. And they seem to be failing on some social proof elements as well. So things like where this rated, where that rated, like we are 5-star reviews for our online purchases, or things like same day postage, things like shipping times, how long shipping is, what their return policies are. They all seem to be hidden, and that's concerning for a user. A lot of people are concerned about when their product will actually arrive, what the return policy is of that product, and how that all works. So they seem to be not displaying that information anywhere, and possibly in the footer, but it really needs to be something that they use to sell a purchase. Um, that's something that I feel like they failed on in many fronts. That as a user, I want to make sure that I'm getting my product, in a couple of days, that I get free shipping if I go over a certain amount, or just free shipping to begin with. That's really important information. Free shipping is probably the biggest one that they're really failing on. That should be front and center. If you order $75 or more, you're going to get free shipping Australia wide. That's super important, and I feel like I would be more inclined to make a purchase if that was the case. Uh, Using their website seems to be rather okay. Their menu and their navigation is pretty good. How they've categorized it, how it works, its functionality, it is quite intuitive. It does seem to function as you would expect, and what's on the page seems to be what you would expect to be on the page. If I click on electronics and then click on computers and then laptops, accessories, I expect to see laptop accessories, the words accessories, the word laptop. I seem to be finding that. I do like the fact that they've ordered by popularity, whether that's an accurate popularity or a self-driven popularity based on marginal price or whatnot. That's completely up to them, and that could be their sort of strategy. But the fact that I feel like, okay, these are the more popular items, I'm more inclined to use the more popular items than something that is in the last page of this. Their filters seem to be pretty good. Having variety is really important. Having only one brand here is sort of a bad idea. They could possibly be using things or use technology that creates an argument where if there's only one brand, where if there's only one or two brands, it could remove that category because it actually adds a negative feeling towards the page. Um, the same as compatibility. If it's just one item, what's the use of displaying it? It seems a little bit counterintuitive. You may as well remove it. It takes away confusion from the user. It takes away options that could potentially cause confusion. Having their 1 to 3 star, I like that. That is quite nice. However, I'm not a fan of the grey that they're using behind here. Their font seems okay. It is nice. I like the fact that they're using breadcrumbs, and I do like their website overall in terms of a user experience. What you are seeing seems to be pretty accurate to what I'd expect. Clicking on it from a product page, I do like the fact that they've got a large version. However, their little cross button is a little hidden and it is a little small. That's something that they should really work on. And having it this big is probably a little silly. They could load it in a way that it is loaded within the frame of the page, and you could highlight, you could have a little magnification of what product you're looking at from a magnified point of view without having to create this scroll effect that I'm having to use. The price, that's one of the most important factors in an e-commerce, is the price. What price am I having to pay for this product? Having it such small format is a little silly. It should be larger, if not the same size as the title, and easily visually seen. That's the price. Here it is. We're not hiding anything. I feel like improving the size of the price here is very important, and having a little bit of information such as this product is available. It can be shipped within 24 hours, or if you complete your purchase within the next 3 hours, your product will be shipped today. That's really important information. I feel like they're failing there as well. However, it is nice that they've got the reviews there. They've got zip pay. They've got afterpay. That's really important. But they're indicating, hey, if you purchase over $70, you're entitled to these options, opposed to saying, hey, or as well as saying, why are they not saying that this item is, you are entitled to free shipping with this product, or free shipping is available after this point. To this point, I'm still not sure of the shipping options and how it works. So yeah, $10 for metropolitan. That's all fine. So they don't actually offer a free shipping option, which I feel is a little silly, especially when Amazon is out there offering free shipping. There are other companies out there offering free shipping. It's something that, yes, it's an expense to the company. However, if you improve your average order cost, so if you say, hey, it's $80, or your average order cost is at $50, you could say, okay, we need to cover our shipping expenses, which is what, $8. We need to make an extra $8 per order to be able to justify the free shipping option. So moving from a $50 average order value and saying, hey, you need to meet $58 to get free shipping, improves your order value and can improve your overall sales amount by just doing that. And constantly moving on that order value and moving that up. So maybe not going $58, maybe including a little bit more in it, say $80, and you're going to get free shipping, because you know that most combinations of products will only come to $75. So if you're ordering three products and it comes to $75 and that's the average of 3 products, then don't set it to $70 because you're not going to improve the cart value. You want to improve it to $80 because you know that I have to add one more product, which is going to bring it to not $80, it's going to bring it to $95. So you can make a lot more by just working out the math behind how many products people are ordering and so forth. So they're failing on the front that they're not offering free shipping, and they can be improving their average cart value by just utilizing a little bit of creative thinking. I like the fact that they've got a review. I'm not sure why this isn't full width. It seems like this might be a plugin or something to their e-commerce side. This should really be a full width type thing. The user experience there is quite poor. I do like their rating system though. That is nice. Finding a store, once again, should really be localized to where I am, and they're not showing me a returns policy, or if they've got a returns policy available. I do like the fact that they've written something for the description, but I'm not sure whether that's unique or copied from the manufacturer or not. So make sure that you're writing unique content descriptions for all products if you're running an e-commerce store. Their add to bag, I'm not sure why I need to enter that now and not at the checkout experience. I feel as if it's not important where I am, because I have made an action towards adding it to my bag, not to make an action to say, where is this item? If this button said locate item or um, see if available type thing, then I'd expect to see this pop up. I'm trying to add it to my shopping cart, not work out where it is or if it's available. So that's pretty poor. It's not the experience that I expected to see at its bag. See, that's not really required. If it was at the checkout point at this point, absolutely. I need to enter where it is because I need to know where to ship it from or the closest shipping location. But at the same time, that shipping location is fairly irrelevant. I can ship from anywhere in Australia to anywhere in Australia for the exact same price. I don't get a discount for shipping 5 minutes up the road. So where they're shipping it from isn't very important. Maybe from the time of arrival, like obviously shipping down the road, I'm going to receive it a lot quicker than across the other side of the country. But it doesn't, it's not information that's very valuable for them other than where they're shipping it. I'm not sure. But the experience in terms of the shopping cart isn't too bad. They probably could have used an Ajax shopping carts where it adds to it and I don't have to navigate through the website. They really want to push for upsells more so. If I add to cart, it'll add to my cart, but where's my other product? I've got two products, but it's only showing me one. That's not right. And for me to click on this, I want to see my products. I don't want to have to be taken to this page. I'm not ready to check out yet. I could have made additional purchases. I could have ordered additional items, but instead now I'm being pushed towards checking out instead of them losing a little bit of drop off. If you lose 2% drop off because they're not taken to this page, but you gain 20% extra sales because you've continued on the site and people have gone through and purchased more items, what's better? What's more financially profitable? Doesn't seem like they've added that together, and now I'm just being forced into a purchase of something that doesn't have everything that I'm after on it. So that's not really a very nice experience. Their click and collect or their postage, that's quite nice. I like that. It's not achievable for little stores, but for them, it's quite nice. But there's no upsells. They're not trying to upsell me to anything. They're not trying to provide more value, provide me to an option to add more products to the cart. They do have this little button up here, but once I've scrolled, I'm never leaving this page. So definitely work on that. And clicking that button, why am I being taken back to the home page? I was on a page, now I'm going to have to re-navigate back to where I was to try and work out what I was looking for. If I've added a laptop to my cart, I may be interested in laptop accessories, a bag. Why, when I click that, I'm taken to the home page instead of the accessories page? A little bit of creative thinking from the development team could implement something that could improve conversion significantly on this page. Going from that, knowing that their audience is 60% plus mobile, checking their mobile experience is really important. So loading it up, their menu is a little bit hidden. I definitely think that's more important than adding to the wish list, but they've prioritized the wish list item opposed to the menu. Their menu is quite nice on mobile. It does seem to be doing what I'm asking it to. And scrolling through, I do like that it's 2 columns, not 3 columns, and all the buttons seem to be still being displayed as I'd expect. I'm not sure on this arrow and why it's hidden with grey on white. Having it more visible is probably better. The mobile cart page isn't too bad. Close. These buttons are honestly a little bit small as well for a mobile. it seems to be pretty good. It seems to do what I am expecting it to, and it is a good representation of what their desktop version is, except their price. That's once again, don't hide the price. Make it visible, make it easy to understand and easy to see. Having it twice, I'm not sure of the importance of having it twice. I also like having a cart, add to cart button fixed to the bottom, so it's always there. I want to be able to add this product to the cart at any point. If I'm at this point, how do I add it to the cart? I don't want to have to scroll up and look for the button. That should be really a highlight color. It shouldn't really be a color that is fixed with their website. Call to action should really be highlighted a little bit nicer. But overall, their mobile passes most of the checkboxes there. The only other thing that I really wanted to check was a high ticketed item above $70, if at all possible. Here we go. Good. So both their ZipPay and their Afterpay both say now that it's available and showing you different information than what it was showing, saying over $70 you're entitled to it. That's something I really wanted to check, and it's important if you're running an e-commerce store to display that information depending on what the user is expecting to see. Otherwise, it's an okay site. Overall, they've got a lot to work on in compared to their competition in Amazon, compared to where their competition is in other smaller retailers that are doing a significantly better job than what they are. They really need to work on a couple things around their user experience, especially their SEO and their performance. That they're the key things that I'd improve for Kmart. But overall, it is nice. It is a nice site. It's engaging, um, and they have done a lot that is well done. I think they need to engage a conversion specialist and someone that's going to specialize in e-commerce and how to improve average cart values and improve their overall shopping experience. Definitely targeting someone with what they've got in their product cart and how the user is really starting to engage. I'm probably never going to come back to this store if I'm going to be completely honest. It didn't satisfy my needs, and if it doesn't satisfy my needs, it's probably not going to satisfy others. And I'd say that they're not all that focused on their online experience. They're more focused on people coming to their stores, which is a little bit disappointing, especially with the way that the internet's working and the way people are ordering products nowadays. It is pushed far towards online than it is offline. So I'd say that they've got a lot of work to do here, and they should really investigate it sooner rather than later before they're too far behind and they've got a lot of catch up to do. I hope you've liked this video. If you did like it, please leave a comment, like on the video, and subscribe. We'll be doing one of these each week. And like I said, if you have a website that you'd like us to audit, let me know. I'll cover things similar to what I've covered in this video and work out the better or the best option for that business moving forward. I don't send this to this company. If they see it, they see it. But it's just for information purposes and how you can take the information that I've provided in this video and try and implement it in your own website. If you're not sure on how to do it, obviously we're a design agency, we're a company that is able to handle all these tasks for you and make these improvements on your behalf and show you the reports and analytics around why things were done and how they were done. It's very important to read the data. Although I can look at it from a visual, I don't have their Google Analytics, I don't have their conversion data, I don't have all their A/B tests. I don't have that information, and having that information could tell a totally different story, and that's why it's important to collect all that data and work on data, not just on a visual standpoint. Um, Once again, thank you for watching. I'll see you again next week.